Hello everybody, Excited Utterance here. My name's Hella and I haven't done one of these in a long time. Oh goodness me, my Hella light. I keep buying these new filtery things for it so that I can make it go a little bit less bright but without any strobiness. There we go, turn it down a little bit. This is the third one I bought now off Amazon and it works, it doesn't strobe, but then it just turns itself off. Fantastic. Anyway, there we go again. Right, stop it. Back in. Too bright. And then back down again. See? I think I'm just going to have to live with it being that brightness. I swear. And like all my other little lights, GameStay did that on the weekend. She did a really nice job. Hi everybody. I have not done one of these chitty chat streams in a little while. Oh, she meltdown. Oh, today has been nuts. Today, coffee went everywhere. Thank God it didn't get on my actual laptop because that would have been the end of the world. But it went everywhere else. Which means that I lost my first cup of coffee. That was probably the worst part of it. And then cords everywhere. Microphone disconnected, computers, I have 3 screens going, they all disconnected. I had to work out where all the different cords went, and then when I went to go and get something to sop up all the coffee with, it started to like pour down the desk onto a battery pack, and I came back and I was like, oh shit, that's worse than it was originally. So yeah, you saw me, those of you guys who saw me come on to Dali's stream, I was like a little flustered. Yeah. Losing the first coffee is traumatic, Martina. Yes, it is very traumatic. Hello, everybody. I just eat coffee from the can. It's just easier that way. Yes, it would be great if I could just, find a way of having it contained. And I used to have the ones that had the top on it. See how it has like the top? But I would find that no matter what, you would get them and like they have all the little pieces in them, and no matter what, you pull them all apart, but they get all stinky and gross. And I have a real thing about off milk. No matter how much you clean them out, they still end up all gross. So yeah, meltdown starts the stream off lovely. Now I just spilled my cup. Oh, hello, Chadakadum. Hello, Chakadadum. Nice to have you here. Chinny's here. Hey, hey, Deville. Yes, liquid coffee. Good to have you guys all here. It is been an Aussie meltdown. Hey, Barbara. How are you? And Sweet Tooth Fairy is here. How's the collecting going? And like the stream, please. Where's been? That was so funny, guys, yesterday when I redirected over to Ping. And look, I gotta tell you guys, I don't know Ping that well. Like, I know him, I go and hang out on in his stream, but I wasn't sure how much of a sense of humor he had. I didn't know. And when I said Ping, and you guys thought I said Ping, and then, like, I ended up hanging out back here with Sean for a bit backstage, and we chatted for sort of 15 minutes before he went and did his members only stream, right? So I didn't go over with you guys for a bit. And so I didn't realize that you guys went over there and went and called him Peen. Luckily, he took that pretty well. Right? But Ping is an Aussie. He's in Sydney. He's really sweet. But yeah, I wasn't sure. If he'd be like, why are you guys calling me like a phallic object? But then he went, oh yeah, I'll be Big Peen. So now, like, he's cool with that. Thank goodness. He's actually really sweet. He's lovely. Oh dear. But yeah, he really appreciates like having a redirect. Like he's the first time I did it, we went in there and went hello raid, and he was scared. He was like, "What's going on? What's a raid?" And he didn't know my name's Hella. He just knows me as Excited Utterance. So like people, his mods and that were like, "What's going on?" And then yeah. then he was like, oh wow, this is so great, excited utterance is bringing us new people in. I don't think that he knows he has much of a community thing going on, like as in other creators. He has his own audience. So yeah, he really appreciates that, and he sent me a Twitter message yesterday going, thank you so much for um, thinking of me and sending your viewers over and stuff. And I'm like, look, I'm really lucky that I have other creators who help support the channel and send redirects over here and come onto the channel like lawyers. And I noticed that like you're all on your own over there, and it's hard for Australians as well who are like streaming out to the US audience, the international. It's hard to like meet new people and bring new people in, and he's built himself up a decent audience of his own late at night. Well, afternoon for me, but late at night, and it's great because it means that I get to meet them and he gets to meet some of you guys. Anyway, so basically, what's his content about? Oh, okay. So Ping, he basically he's if you've ever watched Aussie Overlord, it's a little bit like that, but he's not like Aussie Overlord in his demeanor. He's very uh, laid back. He streams in the afternoon, so he what he does is he gets out sort of true crime stories and a lot from the Australia as well. So he'll pull up like actual like crime stories from Australia, and he'll read them out and he'll sort of read them over time and show you like what's actually happening in the Australian cases and follow them through. We can't show you any of the actual like court proceedings, but he'll like go through and show you like what's actually happening from like the news perspective. And then he'll follow some US cases as well, but he doesn't like take one case and follow it kind of like I'm following Sarah Boone. He'll like his show might go for 2 hours and he'll cover like 8 cases, and it'll just be more of a like reading out the news kind of thing, but all true crime and chatting with his audience. He's a lovely guy. He's really sweet. Yeah. Anyway, he is very chill. Yeah, very chill. It's just for him, it's an afternoon of reading out things that are of interest to him, new cases that have come up, people have been gone to court or sentenced and stuff like that. Long-term like cold cases and things. Interesting. And it's interesting for me because stuff that is happening around here that I know of, and it's hard for me to cover it because you guys just don't know anything about it. And I've tried covering things like that, and I found that competing with like the big stories in the US is really difficult to get like people interested in like the really complex, intricate details of those things. Yeah, Australian cases. His channel is Nights with Ping, and half Irish. If you wouldn't mind grabbing out his link, that would be fantastic. I will be redirecting to him as often as I can. If he's live, when I finish up the Sarah Boone coverage throughout the weeks coming up, because as you know, Sarah Boone trial, I'm running from 6 p.m. Eastern every night. 6 p.m. Eastern every night, starting from the 7th of August, 7th of October. 6 p.m. Eastern, so I should be going for 3.5 hours, something like that, because we're doing fast mode. We're going to be able to get through everything. And then when I finish, that's around when he starts. Unless like Sean or someone like that is going, I'll redirect to whoever, depending on like if he's gone one day or someone else is going another day. I'll spread it out. But I really would like to redirect to him a few times because it's nice to go to someone different. So yeah, there we are. Nights with Ping. Nights with Ping. Yesterday he says he follows news and updates rather than following court proceedings. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And we have had a few of his viewers come over to us and become members and things. I don't know if we've got any here today, but we've had quite a few of his people come over here. Anyway, so I've blurred on a fair bit. I wanted to talk to you guys about what this is. I haven't done one of these streams in a little while. Usually with these streams, what we do, in fact what we will do today, is we will afterwards go into the Discord. Those of you who are members, you've been members for a while, you might remember that what we do after these chit chat streams is we go over into the Discord, into the chill zone, and it's not me talking anymore, it's you guys all chitty chatting as well. We can get our voices out, we can even get our cameras out if we want to, and we can have a discussion amongst all of us about whatever we like. But we'll start the conversation today with what I've put into the title, and that is why I don't hate Sarah and other defendants. And this has been a big one for me over the last month or so, because if you go and have a look at some of my comments in my comment sections, wow, I have had some people really coming after me in my comment section, and on my Twitter and on my Facebook. I don't go into my Facebook very often, but when I do, eek, I'm very unpopular on Facebook. And you know why? What happens is people don't really watch, the people who come after me, they don't really watch my content. All they do is they just come in, they look for 1 second at the thing that says Justice for Sarah Boone, or they look at the title of my video that says something like, for example, last week I had banker went sinks to a new low, and they just, pow, they come straight after me. They'll go, how could you blame the lawyer? Right? I think someone said, oh, that's pretty vapid coverage to blame the sixth lawyer for not explaining the process to Sarah. How could you say she's not going to get a fair trial? She did make that video, that very self-incriminating video. Excuse me. Yeah. And I get a lot of, oh, you look like the kind to stick up for a murderer. Yeah. And so I wanted to address this today because I find that people are very quick to judge. And that's the opposite of me, actually. So, and I've talked about this a little bit in some other streams, but I especially have found it to be with the Sarah case. I found it to be huge, right? And guys, make sure if you've got your membership, if you're not up to date with your membership and you thought you were, and you're not in the Discord, just check, because we are going to be going into the Discord later on. Might even go members only halfway through. We'll see. Anyway, so yes, with this whole Sarah thing, because she has so much pre-trial evidence out there that makes her look like she is guilty, right? And she is guilty of something. There's no question about that, right? Because of that, me sticking up for her in any way whatsoever makes me look like I like her, like I want to be her bestie, right? Here's the thing, I don't hate her, right? And I'll put that into the title. I don't hate her, and people hate me because I don't hate her, right? Now, why would I not hate her? She sat there and she said, wriggle around a bit. That's my name, to wear it out, right? It takes a real lot for me to hate somebody. It takes an awful lot for me to hate someone. They have to kind of do something to me, right? I don't know this woman. I don't know her personally. I don't know her. So it's really hard for me to hate her. Yeah, they have to kind of do something to me. I don't hold hate in my heart for many people. In fact, it's really, for me to hold hate in my heart, that takes a lot of energy. Whereas I find that, like, if I look out in the community, that in the true crime community, so many people just enjoy holding hate in their heart. It's kind of like the easiest thing for them to do, to hate. In fact, hate is kind of like a currency. If you've noticed, like, the whole idea of hating is like, I'm enjoying that. So for me to hate somebody, that's That's against my character. All right. So I don't hate people with, that's not easy for me to hate people. Right. So I don't hate her. But in terms of supporting her, I also don't support her. People are kind of coming at me and going, well, why do you support her? It's not that I'm supporting her. I support the process, right? And okay, so I'm just going to answer a few questions before I keep talking, because I just talking. Okay. Um, Online Red says, I really dislike Sarah. I think she's guilty. However, I'm not on her jury, and I hope that anyone with my opinion would be excluded from her jury because that's fair. Yeah, you know a lot about it, Online. So that's fair enough. Like, for you to dislike her and think she's guilty, therefore you shouldn't be on her jury, right? So they need to find 12 people who just haven't really heard of the case or have any opinion on the case. I know that it's tricky and it's not necessary for them to find people who haven't heard about it at all. With the voir dire process, I believe, well, generally, even with these really well-known cases, they don't have to have not heard of it at all. But for them to have that kind of level of investment, as in, I really dislike Sarah and I think she's guilty, that's a no. That's a no. And you know that. Like, you're a lawyer. I really appreciate you being here, Old Line. You know that. Like, you are, you're the intelligent way of saying what I'm thinking. Bifront says rooting is Aussie for screwing. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it can be. It can be. Rooting does mean screwing sometimes. A shagging. It also means like supporting. So like I'm rooting for that team. Like, yeah, supporting that team means that too. Yeah. Hate's a powerful thing, and people use it to like monetize their channels. So I said to someone in my comment section the other day, if I went down the line of the other people who are talking about this case and used hate to talk about Sarah Boone, my channel would be much bigger than it is. Much. In fact, not just Sarah Boone. If I were to use hate to talk about most of the cases that I ever cover, yeah, my channel would be big. Like I would have the 20,000 subscribers or more. I would have the 10,000 views on each stream. If I just used hate and spread rumors and drama on every stream, I would have hundreds of people, thousands of people in chat all the time. I would have all that. I was saying this to Sean backstage yesterday. It's like, but I find that boring. It's not my style, and B, it's just what everyone else is doing, and it's boring to me. Like, why? It just, if that's how I have to go in order to make this viable, then I'm not going to do it. Because why? Like, it's not me. It's just, I don't believe in it. I just don't believe in it. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why. Why it just doesn't, why I don't believe in it. I'll go into a bit more detail soon. Hey, Casper, how are you? Okay, so I think so. I think so. Just think of victims, and that's what gets them anger and hate. Yeah, okay. So there's this other point of view that's like people go, oh, but George didn't have any space to breathe. George didn't have any option to have his hair and makeup done or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they'll say, but what about George's rights? And it's the same with Koberger. So they'll go, oh, but those four beautiful young people, they never had any opportunity to live their lives. Like they didn't get to choose what they had to eat, like because he's a vegan and apparently he gets these special meals, right? So what about their rights? And it's like Okay, so two things can be true at once. And people really get stuck on this. Like, just because those people are suffering, as in the victims' families, doesn't mean that this person who hasn't been found guilty yet has to pay for the suffering of those victims' families, right? So he's Brian Koberger is innocent, and until he's found guilty, he's innocent. Sorry, but Sarah Boone right now is innocent. People hate hearing that, but she actually is right now innocent. That's how it works. She's not been found guilty yet. So she deserves to have dignity. If she wants to present herself in the courtroom as an innocent person, she deserves that dignity. She's not been found guilty yet. God knows she's going to be found guilty of something. The chances of her not being found guilty of something are very, very slim. Um, but, I mean, like we were showing yesterday on the pretrial hearing, how difficult is it to chuck a bit of makeup on it? Like, and why is that? Why is that being met with such disdain by the public? Just for her to have that small thing, and people really are very angry about just the thought of her looking presentable, and they're misinterpreting the words that were said by James Owens when he went into that courtroom and he said, Your Honor, uh, Ms. Boone would like someone someone to fix her hair and some makeup, please. That's it. She did not ask for an entourage of stylists or like some sort of Hollywood setup at all. But that's what people think was said. Yeah. Um, no, it's already stipulated. Yeah, that's recently, Maddie B. So, and technically, yeah, okay. So she's not innocent of causing the death. That's already stipulated. That's since the battered spouse syndrome defense was put forth, and she's now claiming self-defense. So I understand, Maddie B, and I get that. I get that. So when I said she's innocent right now, Maddie B is saying, oh no, she's not innocent of causing the death. That's already stipulated. Okay, so since the defense has come forth and said that she's claiming self-defense, that means that she has admitted to causing the death. And I agree. Okay, that's cool. But if you are claiming self-defense, what happens sometimes if you're claiming self-defense is that you are found not guilty of the higher charge, which is murder 2 in this instance, and you walk away, right? The chances of that are very, very slim. Yeah. Oh, look. Here's the thing, though, right? I don't like her. I just think that there's other ways of looking at these things, and just if you go into any of these discussions and even bring any of these things up, you will be called an asshole, right? You will be called an asshole, and not guilty equals, sorry, equals innocent. Yeah. Um, Look, presumption of innocence. Any defendant is a criminal in a criminal trial is assumed to be innocent until they've been proven guilty. Wexlaw. Yeah. It's tricky with this one. This one's really tricky because we've all seen the video, right? We've seen that video. We haven't seen what happened beforehand. We haven't seen what happened after. We've heard her words, right? But we haven't actually seen all the things before and after. We've heard a lot of what people have to say about what they think led up to it, right? Now, what's gone on means not equal. Yeah, not equal. I thought that was what you meant, Maddie B. Yep. Um, if you go and have a look at how sort of the armchair psychologists out there are reviewing this, there are a lot of people out there who have gone and gotten the police reports from the years prior, and they're like, okay, she's the primary aggressor. How you can know that if you weren't in that house for the years leading up baffles me. I don't get that. That makes no sense to me. All right. She might have been, right? He might have been. They both might have been equally the aggressor. I have no clue, right? I don't know. I mean, the whole idea of this battered spouse defense to me sounds like not a good move. I said that from the beginning. But I'm not her lawyer. At least she's got a lawyer, thank God, right? But for these people to all be getting on this train of she's the aggressor thing, there are a lot of people who believe that she was the primary aggressor, right? It's because they hate her. It's because they're biased. They've decided it's confirmation bias, right? Confirmation bias. So I want to believe that she is the one who kept him in this situation and beat on him and made him feel like he couldn't leave. And then it finally led to this moment where she put him in the suitcase somehow. I don't know how she did that. She said he got in the suitcase. Whatever. She definitely would have been the one to do it up. I don't see how he could have done that. Right? And then she sat there and went, that's what it's like when you choke me. Right? All these things are all her fault. Every little bit of it's her fault. Everything. All her fault. Right? Confirmation bias. Okay? And it's all being spurred on by influencers. Now, when it comes down to it, influencers are called influencers for a reason. Because they influence people's thoughts. Right? And people are fine with these influencers influencing them to believe that Sarah is wrong in every single way. But they're not fine with someone like myself saying, hang on, just think about the possibility that maybe that's not quite right, right? Look at it from the defense's point of view just for a moment. I'm not saying that she's innocent. I'm actually not saying that. I'm saying just think about it. There could be another explanation. The trial hasn't started, guys. The trial hasn't started. It's okay to withhold judgment. Withholding judgment's not terrible. And I'm withholding judgment. I feel like there's a possibility that a lesser included charge like manslaughter could get up. Who sees? Who knows what the final evidence is going to be that gets presented to that jury? I don't know. But every time I even, thank you chat for supporting me, those who have an open mind to this, but every time I talk about this in any forum other than with you guys, or maybe over in Sean's chat, yeah, I'm just hung out to dry. So anyway, I think the problem is she can surely get a haircut in trial. About the makeup is tricky as they're not allowed, so she wants what would be a special treatment. Makeup is tricky as they're not allowed, so she wants what would be a special treatment. Yeah, I didn't realize what a big deal makeup was. Yeah. Hey, man, how's it going? Is manslaughter possible with a battered spouse defense? I don't know. Not as part of it, I believe. Like if we have a look at what just happened with the Ashley Benefield trial, the jury instructions had to be changed at the very last minute, and it was a what do you call a? They don't like to put it on the record as such, but it was more of a compromise verdict. There was a split in the jury. They didn't want to. Um, I have a big problem with what happened with the Ashley Benefield trial. This woman was on trial for murder. She was claiming battered spouse defense, and for sure that jury didn't want to come back. They stayed till what, 9-10 p.m. that night. They said they were at an impasse, right? And then half an hour later, jury instructions changed and they came back with a manslaughter verdict. What's going on there? Like, who didn't want to come back the next day? Right? Yeah, should have been either a mistrial or just find a way to come back. Yeah. And there was a gun enhancement as well, so that means that she had a longer sentence because of that. No gun enhancement for Sarah. Yep, no firearm there, just a suitcase. Yeah, but it's so interesting, isn't it? I don't think you can accidentally homicide someone and claim that you meant to homicide someone in self-defense. Well, and that's why we're really awaiting right now the decision from Kranick, because Kranick is supposed to have his order saying whether or not he is going to allow the motion to suppress the interrogation. So the 2 hour and something interrogation where she continually said, not intentional, not intentional. Yeah. I think that they can talk away all of her stuff on the body cam where she was like, I fell asleep, it was an accident, la la la, because she was in shock then, right? But a day later, when she was in the interrogation room and she said it was not malicious, it was not intentional, all that kind of stuff, there she had a bit more time to think about it. So if they can suppress that, then I think all of this accident, not intentional stuff is not as inculpatory. Yeah. I personally think Ashley planned it, and I wish they had enough to charge her with first degree. Yeah, there's so the opinions on this one, KLF, are so split. I found the Ashley Benefield trial to be really interesting in terms of when I did Hearsay for Days, for example. And those who don't know, Hearsay for Days, Sunday 4 p.m. I go and get the comments from around the internet about the cases that are trending, and I find it really interesting sometimes when we have cases like this one, like Ashley Benefield, and we see the opinions from different places really wildly different. Like Ashley Benefield, that trial, we had people like yourself, KLF, who were like, no, she planned it, that was intentional, that was murder, right? And then we had other people who were like, no, she should have walked, like she was in a abusive relationship, that was self-defense 100%, right? And then few people in the middle, but really it was like that. So it's really interesting when the comments go like so. You absolutely see why people believe it was self-defense. Yeah. Well, that's interesting though, okay? That goes and shows you, like, you're very open-minded. You can see in other people's shoes. What I'm finding with the Sarah Boone case is really rare to find people who are able to see the other scenario, right? So 99% of people are like, nah, how can you even entertain the possibility that it could be manslaughter, or she could not be 100% culpable for all of this, that she's not the primary aggressor, that she wasn't beating on him all those years, la la la. How can you even go there? You are evil, you're an asshole, you're this, you're that. Why would you want justice for Sarah Boone? He never had justice. Okay, so if that's the case, why have courts? And then the other thing, people are calling James Owens evil and a mess and disorganized and just everything they can call it. Oh, a clout chaser, right? I mean, this poor guy, he's come out of nowhere to and shut down his whole practice in order to help this woman. He's doing his best. I know he's stuffed up a few times. He stuffed up yesterday, letting Sarah Boone on the stand. But geez, I mean, she's better off than having to go pro se. Wow. It's because she's a woman. It's not a shame to say it. Abuse is real. Yo. You're trying. How are you trying? Trying what? Same for allocating money for memory for strength. What are you talking about? She can trivialize and use that for her defense. It's being true or false doesn't matter. Of course she was abused. I 100% believe she was abused, right? And it will be shown in court. There will be evidence. There will be testimony. It will be shown, and the jury will believe it. I have no doubt. And if it were her going pro se, that would not come out. It would not come out. It would just be her word for it. So there's something. That's something. And Bob, yeah, I do. I think they abuse each other for sure. But the internet narrative at the moment is that she was it. She was the one beating on him. And people get into my comments, they get onto my Twitter, they get on everywhere, and they go, how dare you? You're an asshole for even suggesting that he was the one. Because she would call the cops on him just to make him look bad. Yeah. Anyway. I'm sure it was a very toxic relationship. But we don't know, everyone. Here's the thing. The trial hasn't started. The trial hasn't started. And I feel really strongly about this. People don't need to make their mind up. It happens so often that, especially when you see a lot of pretrial hearings, when there are a lot of documents that go out, when these things go very viral prior to trial, people feel like they have to make a decision now. Right? I must make a decision now because everyone else is making a decision now. Right? And it's like I must follow the herd and make a decision. And everyone else seems to have decided that she's so guilty and so evil and she's so insufferable and she's so this and she's so that. Right? So therefore, if I don't just make a decision and go along with that, then it's probably not a conscious decision that people are making to be peer pressured into it, but they do. They make this decision because you can see it. You go into all these chats, like go into the lawyer chat, for example, and you'll see it. You'll see people just parroting off exactly what the last person said. And then if Tragos goes and says something against the grain, for a little while they'll be like, what's Tragos doing? And then I remember when he started to push back, that thing about about her not having proper access to a computer. Right? Remember that? Remember when she was pro se and she didn't have proper access to a computer. She didn't have, the laptop wasn't working. It didn't have apps on it. It wasn't being charged up properly. And Tragos went and said, my 13-year-old or my 12-year-old, something like that, goes into school, they plug it in and the apps just load up and it's done. It's 2024. Maybe we should be thinking a bit differently about how our jails accommodate pro se defendants, because it shouldn't be a death sentence, right? Pro se is not a great thing to do, obviously, but in a situation like this where a defendant is going pro se, or if someone chooses to be pro se, that should not be a death sentence for them. They should not have to be in a situation like this where they're incarcerated and they have no way of preparing for trial, right? And I remember his chat started to turn, right? Because he's an influencer, okay? And people started to give him super chats and stuff and go, you know what? You're right, Peter. It's exactly the stuff we've been talking about here, right? An insurance chat. We'd be like, this is ridiculous. How is the jail? Well, we expected it. The jail wasn't doing anything to support what she needed to prepare for trial, and they didn't have to. They constitutionally they don't have to, right? And Judge Koenig knew it. 2 months out from trial, here she was with nothing, absolutely nothing, right? So and of course, all these chats everywhere were all going, oh, she deserved it. She put herself in this situation. Well, pretty sure that everything that she'd done up until that point, it wasn't ever told to her that she was going to end up in a situation 2 months out from trial with being incarcerated and having no resources to prepare for trial. She was not warned specifically of that happening. And also, the other thing is, you can't punish people by violating their rights. Pretty sure. Not only support, they broke the rules set by the court. Who did? Maddie B. Who did? What, the jail officers? Go to Nick's chat. What, Ricators? Oh, the jail. Yeah. Half Irish. I only listen. I've got stuff to do at the same time. Oh, how are you, AG? Good to see you. And congrats again on your achievement. EDBs. Oh my god, I wouldn't even. I'm not even subscribed to her. And no offense to her, it's just her chat. It's just her chat. And the cow. I can't. Does she still do the cow thing? No. I can't deal with the cow. Okay, so getting to my point. It's 40 minutes in. Sorry, everyone. Same with Lauren Lumber's chat. Yeah. Actually, see, before we finish, though, I wanted to say Ian Runkle, he's pretty good. I love Ian. And he's been pretty balanced on this whole thing. He was shocked when, for example, that time that Owens came forth with the battered spouse defense, and Koenig was like, so you're saying it's self-defense? And Ian was like, and Rob both were like, dude, are you asleep? It is a self-defense argument. Have you not read it? Why are you surprised? Like, yeah, they reacted the same way we did and the same way Sean did. It's like, battered spouse defense is a self-defense argument, because he was like, Koenig was like, this is the first time I've heard of it being self-defense. You haven't said it up till now. It's like, it's the battered spouse defense. Look at it. Like, look it up. Read it. Like, me, I'm completely unqualified, and I've read it. Runkle is chill. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Oh, look. I only answer people in my own comment section generally. I did talk to one person in their comment section who was having a go at the lawyers, and she made a whole stream on me. I'm not going to mention her name, but I pissed her off so much just because all I did was say, I don't understand why you're going after these lawyers. Like, why are you digging up shit on these lawyers? They are going out of their way to help this woman who needs defense, right? And so what are you doing? You're going and, like, trying to find anything you can to ruin their lives. I don't like that. I don't see any reason to bring the lawyers into it. Fine, if you want to make fun of Sarah, go for your life. She's the defendant. But why are you trying to find shit on her lawyers? I don't get it. Some people are just bottom feeders. Um, who's got the worst chat? What these people don't see is that if these defendants aren't given every tool they need, they might get away with it. Just have a fair trial. Yeah, right, Shiraz. Like, there just seems to be hundreds of thousands of people, and then that's not even starting. There's probably more people who just don't even want to have a trial. They're just like, why are we bothering? Why are they spending so much money on this? You know what's funny, actually? We'll talk about money for a second. Okay, so Hobson, Cashman, and Bankowitz, my favorite, they each got paid $15,000 for their representation, right? There was another lawyer, the very first one who handled her arraignment. I don't know what he got paid, but he never put forth an invoice that was looked at by the JAC in that most recent hearing. So maybe he got paid some other way, I don't know, but he only represented her for 3 weeks before the private attorney that was hired by her ex came along. So that's no cost to the state. And then the other attorney that has looked after her is Owens, so no cost to the state. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So there's only been 3 who have been of cost to the state, and those 3 were each $15,000. The other 3 never cost them anything because they recused themselves immediately due to conflict of interest, right? So people who keep talking about all this money that has been spent on these 8 lawyers, which is complete misinformation because there weren't 8 lawyers. 3 recused themselves. It's not true, right? There's been $45,000 spent over a period of 4.5 years, by the way, right? The most amount of time and wastage has been on Bankowitz because he is a dud. He spent a year being uncontactable. Right? Sarah was the one who wanted to keep moving things along. If you go back and look at her letters, she was the one going, what's going on with my case? What's going on with my case? I can't contact you. So people think that she's been stalling, she's been making things difficult, whereas Bankowitz was actually the one who wasted all the time and money. Why mum chatters have no understanding of sarcasm. That too, they don't get sarcasm. Hey J-Rock, how are you? Hey. Alright, so I wanted to tell you, just generally, we'll stop talking about Sarah Boone for a minute. P.S. Can someone please let me know if an order pops up on the Boondocks from Mr. Kranick, Judge Kranick, sorry, because I've been trying to refresh it and see what's going on with that order for suppression of the interrogation. He said he'd have it there by the end of close of business today. It's not there. So yeah, if someone sees it, please let me know. Okay, so guilty by public opinion doesn't put the actual guilty people in jail. Yeah. So having a fair trial is quite important. It's kind of important, Masha. All right, so we're going to be going into the Discord shortly. So if you are a member, make sure that you have joined the Discord. If you're not a member, now would be the time to become a member. And I am going to do something. Hang on a minute. Hey, there we go. I have just gifted 5 memberships. Nick Dev, Cara Leslie, Ashley, Ashley Casey, and Luna. Did I get anyone that's here? I hope I did. Oh, nice. Okay. All right, we'll make sure that hopefully we get people that are here, because that way you can come through into the Discord in a minute and have chats with us all. So I wanted to tell you all how I got to this point where I not just that I don't hate Sarah, but other defendants as well. Okay. And why I am this way, that like people call me crazy and an asshole. Actually, the opposite. Um, it all started probably late 2022, early 2023. And I was a bit sus on the whole Murdoch trial. I found the Murdoch trial to be weird. I was watching it on my own, and I was like, why are they talking about all these financial crimes for 3 weeks? It's a bit strange. And I noticed that all the commentary around it was very much, oh, well, he's obviously guilty. He's obviously guilty. And I've been watching a few trials up until then. I probably watched them for a year or more, like off and on. But I tended to watch them without commentary. I found the commentary to be kind of distracting because I'd watch them in my own time, right? So I wasn't like watching them with live chat because here I am in Australia. And so it was hard for me to catch them with the live chat happening at the same time. So, yeah, but I noticed that when I'd watch the recaps and I'd watch the little sort of law and crime sidebars and things like that, just about always people were found guilty. And whilst I was watching the actual trials happening, I'd noticed that it didn't always add up, yet people were found guilty all the time. And so it didn't make any sense. And then like with Murdoch, it really didn't make sense. Like, how did he unalive both his wife and his son in that period of time? And he had no real motive. Like, the motive that they gave didn't make any sense. Like, this whole idea of everything culminating on that one day, yet what did they have to do with the whole financial crimes mess? What, he wanted to distract from that? That didn't make any sense, right? But everyone was just saying that, of course, that makes sense. But it didn't, right? And then, but I let that go. That was okay. And then, so I just moved on to the next thing. And then, what was the next trial that came up? Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson. Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson. Oh yeah, I watched Mark Jensen. Mark Jensen was the only one I was like, definitely, yeah, for sure, he's guilty. Yeah. Yeah. Murdoch was ridiculous. And I covered Murdoch in detail for about a year and a half later, and I'll still cover it to this day. In fact, here's me. I covered the book, Juror 785. Here we are. Available on Amazon now. Now, and then what happened was, I watched this case called the, what is it called? Crazy ex-boyfriend or stalker ex-boyfriend or, hang on, I've got it here. Obsessed ex-boyfriend murder trial is what it was called. The Obsessed Ex-Boyfriend Murder Trial. What a ridiculous name. Yeah, it was called the Obsessed Ex-Boyfriend Murder Trial. And that was Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson. Now, for those of you who don't know, Zachariah Anderson was found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide and hiding of a corpse that was never found. How you are found guilty of hiding a corpse when the corpse was never found still blows my mind. Now, yeah, here's the thing. I watched this trial on my own, and as the trial went along, I was like, this is not making any sense. Why? I watched it on my own, and as I was getting closer to the end, I started to get really frustrated because I heard all of this evidence that wasn't adding up. And then I started to go into some chats. I started to stay up during the night and go into some chats. And I was asking people, hey, have they proven anything yet? And people would say, no, they haven't proven anything, except maybe some stalking at the most. And then I discovered David from Making Law Simple, Michigan Law Show, he was called at the time, and Legal Vices, and Nick Starro. Dali was there. There were a few different people who I'm still close with, but I didn't know them. And they were all just kind of meeting for the first time. I think Half Irish was there. Yeah, Online Red, you were there. And Sea Swept, a bunch of different people. We all met then. And we all thought that he was not going to be found guilty until that fateful day when the jury came back with a guilty verdict for Zach. And it was the most shocking, devastating moment. And I remember that Nick Starro, he was so devastated. When the guilty verdict came back, we were all just speechless. And he went away, and he came back 15 minutes later and did a stream to camera where he just expressed his utter disappointment. And ever since that day, we've all been involved with the family. We've all been involved in fundraising for his appeal. He was convicted on falsified evidence. He was convicted on perjury by the district attorney, by his ex-girlfriend who was trying to get custody of his children. He's an innocent man, and he is in jail till his 90s, in prison till his 90s. We still don't even know whether the man that he was accused of murdering is even dead. No one's ever even found the body. So, yeah, we're waiting still for his appeal. But yeah, from that moment on, for me, I decided that you can't trust anything. You can't trust anything. There were so many people also who just really bought in to this whole idea of him being some crazy stalker who killed this man because he was jealous of this man being with his ex-girlfriend. That was the story told by the DA. And yeah, I mean, Wisconsin, that people might say, oh, like, yeah, things like that happen in Wisconsin, but it happens everywhere. Like, I've seen it happen. It's happened so many times since. It's happened so many times since. And yeah, so I remember at the time, even like we'd go in, guys, people who know about this case, we'd go into chats and we'd try and tell people, look, he's innocent. This is ridiculous. Like that, and then they would say, but there was DNA found in his van. There was a pinprick of what was called DNA that was too small to even test, and they said it was blood, but they only said it was blood because it apparently looked like blood. They couldn't even test it. It was that small. And they you know how in DNA tests they tend to give you like a figure, like they'd say 1 in 1 octillionth or something. The forensic expert didn't even give a number. She said, in my scientific opinion, it's a match. It was ridiculous. Like, there's been a complaint by Tiffany Roy, forensic expert in Florida, since then, in relation to that forensic opinion. Insane. Absolutely insane. And it's touch DNA too. Touch DNA. So easily able to be transferred from one person to another into this van. 260-pound male. And apparently all he's left behind is a pinprick of supposed blood. Ridiculous. Thank you. Yes, please take a look at the Zachariah Anderson MLS playlist. There's so much. How could they use that evidence then? The DA was corrupt. CORRUPT. In fact, if you go to the website and have a look, there is so much information that has been put together by the army of Free Zachariah Anderson advocates who have debunked so much of what was put forth by the DA. So yeah, I can't say enough about what these people have done, because they had a fall guy in mind, and it was Zach. Yeah, it's just, it makes me so sad every time I think about it. It does. Anyway, so yeah, why were they gunning for Zach? Let's just say the decedent worked in the courts, and so did the person who was reporting reporting the incident. So there were reasons to. It's not so much Zach. It's more the people who could have been responsible to not go after them. That's what it's about. So it's a cover up. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. But there's plenty there for you to look at, and we can go into more detail. Innocence Project won't touch things that haven't already been before the appellate court, unless it's like a major high profile case. So it is going before the appellate court though. We've raised, I think, how much money have we raised now? About 60,000. It's so hard to raise money. But yeah, about 60,000 we've raised so far. But yeah, Wrongful Podcast is a great one to look at. So Josie, one of our mods here, she's a mod on many of our channels here. Josie and her team have put together a great podcast. There's also a bunch of videos that I've made as well that are like graphical little pieces. There's a playlist there called Zachariah Anderson, An Urgent Fight for Justice. So you can look at those too. But the website is a great place to look. It's a really great place to look, because there's timelines, and there's you can go in and you can see the actual exhibits, and you can see like debunking of testimony and things like that. So it's fantastic. Okay. Yeah, it was March 2023, Barbara. So that was it for me. For me, I was like, okay, that case did it. I could not trust anything anymore. And also, there's a whole other set of victims. Every time the government comes along and tries to sell you a story, you got to remember that they have a story in mind, and the story could be wrong. Right? So they come up there, and when they start their opening statements, it's a sales pitch, right? So the opening sales statement is a sales pitch, and it has a set of characters in it, and then it'll have some exhibits and things to back it up afterwards, and then you don't know, right? They are putting forth a timeline, and they're putting forth a set of experts to back it up, and their witnesses, but you don't know whether or not what they're saying is completely fabricated. They've pieced together something that they think, or you don't know whether they think it's true, right? You don't know whether they think it's true. They might think it's true, or it might be very conveniently constructed so that the jury will believe that it's true. But they weren't there, right? Chances of them being actually there at the time are slim. Doubt it, otherwise they'd be witnesses, right? So they weren't there. You gotta let them really convince you. And if the trial hasn't started, they haven't convinced you yet, right? So Sarah Boone's trial hasn't started yet. So I haven't heard what the state's going to say to me to convince me. So as far as I'm concerned, the burden's on them. They have to convince me of the whole thing. Murder 2 is a high charge. It's a high charge, right? So I know we've seen a lot of evidence already. It feels like they're going to be able to convince us, right? But they haven't yet. So I withhold judgment until they have convinced me. And there's very few cases where that's not going to be. So I would put Darrell Brooks in the bin of I've made my mind up pretty much before trial. I know that there's going to be tons of witnesses who saw him do it. There's video of him doing it. Come on, what's the state really going to say to wreck it? It's done. Yeah. But chances, like, how often are there cases like that when you saw the person, 100 people saw the person do it? Very few. Very few. Yeah. It's it's heartbreaking when an innocent person is found guilty, but it's equally as heartbreaking for a victim's family when a guilty person is found innocent. Justice is difficult and complicated. That's true, Marsha. However, I tend to think it's better for. I'm sorry to say this, but you can't have an innocent person going into prison for the rest of their life. You just can't. You just can't. If it's the difference between making a mistake like that and having a guilty person free, I think you've got to take the first one. I think that's how it's got to go. Brooks is a rare case. Yeah, Darrell Brooks. So I was talking about the Wisconsin um, Christmas parade driver. So yeah, I mean, he drove through a Christmas parade and cleaned up a bunch of people, including children. So there was tons of footage. There were tons of eyewitnesses. How can you really argue with that? I mean, I don't know why he why would he plead not guilty to that? The reason he pleaded not guilty because he wanted to go pro se and he wanted to have his time in the limelight, and he did. He did. So it was disgusting, really, and it's really rare to have that much evidence out there for the public to see prior to trial. So you know for sure, there's no question. You can really confidently prior to trial go, you're guilty, dude. You're so guilty. Um, yeah, I wouldn't feel bad at all making my mind up about him prior to trial. No way. Yeah. Um, Brooks says Sarah should pass through a different process for insane people, not the one that can't tell right from wrong, but the ones that can't grasp society and reality. We have a system that prefers 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent person be convicted. We have a system that prefers 1,000 guilty people go free than one innocent person be convicted. I believe that's how it should be. However, in practice, I don't think that's how it's working, David. Like, from what I've seen over the last few years following trials, I feel like there are innocent people being convicted because juries just like convicting. And prosecutors just like throwing shit at the wall. Like, they like throwing the highest possible charges they can at defendants and seeing what sticks. And yeah, juries are like, okay, well, you need to. It's almost like the burden shifting is. It's really evident, like, and you see it so often in the comments. Like, people are like, he needs to prove himself innocent. I haven't seen any evidence of him being innocent. What? you don't you don't need to prove yourself innocent. That's the burden. The burden of the state is to prove him guilty. Like, he doesn't have to say anything. This with Koberger, for example. I hear this a lot with the Koberger case. A lot. Like, way too much. I haven't heard any evidence of him being innocent. Where's the evidence of him being innocent? Well, who else could it be? Who else could it be? Who else could it be is a different question. Like, that's for later, right? When he's found not guilty, that's a whole different story, right? It's not his problem who else it could be at all. And he's not there to prove that he's innocent, right? The state's got very little on him right now. Very little. So where's their case? Where's their case? Yes, that is the system we want, and that is the system we have. The problem is the people that make up the system, the people that interact in the system, that's where the problem is. Yeah. All right, guys. Oh, where's the evidence of you being innocent, Hella? Oh, you're going to have trouble finding that, Bobby. You're going to have trouble finding that. Americans have failed basic civics for at least 4 generations. That's interesting you say that. I'd like to know what is taught in US schools, because I feel like there's really basic misunderstandings going on. I'm lucky that, like, I learn this stuff from people like David, people like Sean, Nick. Nick's not even American, but like, he knows this stuff. I learn from lawyers because I hang out with lawyers. I come in and I watch trials and I learn from lawyers who are commentating on trials, and that's all I do when it comes to hanging out with Americans. I watch trials and I learn about the law. I don't know much else about America, but I know about this stuff. Nowhere near enough, but this is the stuff I learn. I'm interested to know what, like, general Americans learn about civics, and about how trials work, and about how the Constitution works. And clearly, like, the Constitution is a big deal to Americans. Like, their rights are a really big deal to Americans. You guys talk about it all the time. Here, we don't talk about our Constitution. We don't even have a clue what's in our Constitution. It's not a thing. It's not a thing we talk about. But for you guys, it's really intrinsic to your culture. You shouldn't brag about hanging out with lawyers. That makes you sound weird. Hey, everything makes me sound weird. I'm used to it. And I ain't bragging. Trust me. Mm-mm. In high school, I had one and only one semester of government. Speak for yourself, half Irish. All right, guys, we are going into the Discord. So if you have a membership to either my channel or Dali's channel, you need to make sure that you have access. So if you have never been into our Discord before, then you go to the membership tab on my community thing, or my membership. Go to my membership tab and go to membership perks, and there is a link there to go to the Discord. Then once you get there, you'll go through and there'll be a public folder. If you have any trouble getting in, just tag a mod. So go @mod and we'll help you in. Once you're there, go to the chill zone section, and we're going to head in there and have a chitty chat. And it's not going to just be me chatting anymore. It'll be everybody chatting. We'll have a good old chitty chat amongst all of us. Yes, that's right, half Irish. The Discord link is under membership perks tab for either Hella or Dali. That's correct. Right. So we're going to go in there and all of us can talk. It won't be just me. You can use your voice. You can or you can even get your camera out if you feel like it. We haven't done this for a little bit. And we'll also keep looking and see whether or not Judge Kranick brings his order in. That would be fantastic. Yep, cool. It must be late for you, Barbara. thank you everybody for hanging out. That was fun. Cool. And that way you guys can all get a bit of a look around the Discord if you haven't already. But by the way, if you ever feel like just hanging out and chatting in that chill zone, you're more than welcome. You don't need us in there. You don't need our permission. If you're part of our community, you're a member, you can always just hang out and chat amongst yourselves in there whenever you feel like it. Can't wait to do this trial with you guys starting, is it Monday the 7th? Is that Monday? 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Yep. Apart from that, we will be doing Hearsay for Days Sunday 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure Dali's got other stuff going on. Keep your notification bells on heavy. Heavy bell. Heavy as heavy gets. Notification on all notifications. Thank you, Sweet Tooth. Hope to see you in the Discord. Vordia starts on Monday, so it might not be Monday. We'll see. We'll do something on Monday. Yeah, love it. Okay, cool. All right, see you guys over there. See you guys there. Oh, my song. Should I play my song or should I play the Sarah Boone song? No, I'm going to put the Sarah Boone song and a little video on its own because I've had some comments about how cool the Sarah Boone song is. But no, we'll play the Hella Rock song.
Her name was Hella. She was an Aussie.
That's the one.
A fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803. To the center, excited utterance. A cat is